Hello everyone, and welcome to my B&B Fan Club channel. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. Before we begin, please hit the subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. Will Thomas looked at his phone as if it had grown teeth. The message shone in the faint light of his Paris flat at 2:17 a.m. I'm still alive. There is no name or number recorded, only a string of digits with the Los Angeles area code. He hadn't kept a Los Angeles phone number in his contacts for nearly 2 years. Not since he'd packed one suitcase, kissed his son goodbye at LAX, and boarded a flight that was intended to be the end of all ties to the metropolis that nearly gobbled him up. His thumb hovered above the screen. Delete. Block. Pretend it never occurred. That was the smart decision. The safest option. Instead, he typed reply before his mind caught up to his fingers. Who is this? The 3 dots appeared suddenly, dancing, receding, and dancing again. Then you know who. Will's heartbeat thumped in his ears. He stood up so swiftly that the chair rolled back and collided with the glass desk behind him. Moonlight streamed through the huge windows, turning the space gleaming and cool. He strolled to the kitchenette, poured himself a glass of water, shook his hands and drank it all at once. The phone vibrated again on the counter. Don't pretend you've forgotten me, Will. That would hurt. He laughed once, sharply and without humor. Forgot. As if anyone had ever forgotten. As if the name Luna Nozawa hadn't been etched into the deepest recesses of his consciousness like an unhealed scar. He typed, Luna has died. This time the response was much faster. That is what they intended you to think. William's knees buckled. He grabbed the edge of the counter, his knuckles white. For a brief second the room tilted, Paris beyond the window merging into the Pacific Coast Highway at night, headlights streaking, rain on the windshield, the sound of Luna laughing in the passenger seat, and everything went black. No, that night never occurred. Not formally. An automobile was discovered at the bottom of a gully along Mulholland. Dental records. A closed casket. He hadn't gone to the funeral because Steffi had asked him not to, and Bill Spencer had looked him in the eye and said, Let her go, son. She's gone. His mother had told him that some stories were best left untold. His phone vibrated again. Look out the window. Will freeze. Slowly, he turned toward the big French windows that led to the narrow balcony. The street below was vacant, with lamplight flashing over wet cobblestones. No one. Nothing. Another buzz. Higher. He raised his gaze. A figure stood unmoving on the rooftop of the ancient bookstore across the street, cast in shadow by a chimney. Too far out to see a face, but the silhouette was obviously female. Long dark hair blows in the wind. One arm lifted in a slow wave. Will's breath clouded the glass. He lurched backward, his heart pounding into his ribs. The phone vibrated in his hand, like if it were alive. You look good, Will. Paris suits you. Too bad it was all based on a lie. He forced his fingers to move. What do you want? This time around the answer took longer. When it arrived it was only 3 words. What you stole. We'll have another look at the rooftop. The figure was gone. He did not sleep. He sat on the floor, his back against the wall, phone clasped to his chest, waiting for the next message which never arrived. At dawn, he contacted the only person he could think of who may still answer. Steffi answered on the 3rd ring, her voice heavy with sleep. Will? It's 5 a.m. here. Are you okay? She's alive, he replied. Silence spread across the Atlantic. Will, Steffi explained cautiously, we discussed this. Therapy. Steffi texted me. She was on the rooftop across the street. She knows where I live. Another long pause. Send me the messages, she finally asked. He did. Each screenshot. Every syllable. When she called again 20 minutes later, her voice had changed. Smaller. That's not possible, she said quietly. We reviewed the coroner's report. Mom cried for several weeks. Luna's mother. I know what everyone witnessed, he interrupted. I'm telling you what I saw. Steffi sighed. Come home. I can't. You must. If this is real, we will address it jointly. As we have always done. Will closed his eyes. As we always have. The Forrester way. Make a group decision. Protect the family. Bury the bodies, sometimes literally, and go on. I'll book your flight, she said. No, he replied. I'm not running this time. He hung up before she could respond. That afternoon, he went to the police prefecture on the Isle de la Cité to file a report. The cop who collected his statement was polite, bored, and plainly persuaded he was either a paranoid American or a disgruntled ex being hounded by a jealous girlfriend. They agreed to check into it. Will didn't trust them for 1 second. On his way home, he stopped to buy a burner phone. I activated it. I texted the number from memory, which said I'm still alive in all caps like a scream. We should talk. In person. The response was practically instant. Montmartre. Sacré-Cœur steps. Midnight. Come alone or I'll disappear forever. He went. Paris at night in October was sharp-edged and gorgeous, with the basilica shining white against the black sky like a wedding cake left out in the cold. Tourists had reduced to a few inebriated students and late-night couples. Will approached the steps gently, hands in the pockets of his long coat, checking for shadows. She waited at the top, resting on the railing, her back to the city. Same long black hair and unbelievably crimson lips. He was older than he remembered, perhaps 25 or 26, but recognizable. Luna Nozawa smiled as if nothing had ever occurred. Hi, Will, she murmured softly. Do you miss me? He paused 5 feet away, close enough to discern a thin scar going down her left brow that had not previously existed. He had enough distance to run if necessary. You're supposed to be dead, he explained. His voice cracked at the final syllable. I was, she replied. For a little while. What does that mean? Luna pushed off the railing and took a step towards him. The lamplight hit the side of her face, and for a brief while he noticed it. The hollow beneath her cheekbone, the way her collarbone jutted sharper than it used to. Like someone who hadn't eaten well in months. Like someone who had crawled out of a grave. It means, she explained, that your family is very good at making people disappear. But they're not very good at keeping them gone. Will swallowed. I didn't have anything to do with. Don't. She raised her hand. Do not lie to me. Not anymore, he said, closing his mouth. Luna stared down at the enormous city below him. A million lights blinking like terrified eyes. Do you understand what it's like to wake up in a box, Will? 6 feet beneath with a tube in your mouth providing you with just enough oxygen to keep you alive until someone digs you up? His stomach churned. I didn't. I know you didn't dig the hole, the woman responded. But you saw them drop the casket. You toasted at the wake. You let them tell the world I overdosed and drove off a cliff because I was some tragic little drug addict intern who couldn't handle the forester's rejection of her. Luna, my mother still visits an empty cemetery every Sunday, she added, her voice shaking for the first time. She brings poppies. Did you know that? Poppies because they were my favorite when I was 8. Will had nothing. No defense, no words. Only the weight of 2 years crushed his chest. I didn't ask for any of this, he admitted finally. No, she confirmed. You simply took what you wanted and walked away when things became nasty. Classic Forrester move. She reached into her coat and brought out a little black unassuming flash drive. Hold it out. This, she explained, is everything. Every email, offshore account, and recording of your mother and Bill Spencer talking about how to manage the Luna situation. How much would it cost to create a body that was not actually a body? How to keep it quiet? Will looked at the drive as if it were radioactive. Take it, she replied. He did not move. Luna's smile became razor keen. You are terrified of the wrong thing, Will. I am not here to hurt you. I'm here to offer you a choice. What choice? Expose them, she replied simply. Each of them. Your mother. Your sister. Spencer. Doctors who sign false death certificates. The private security team that found me 3 days later and flew me to a clinic in Mexico until I was able to walk again. Make it public. Make them pay. Or I'll do it for you. And I will not be gentle. Will laughed, a broken sound. Do you think the world will believe a ghost? I believe the world enjoys a resurrection story, she remarked. Especially when the dead girl has receipts. She put the disc into his palm. Her fingertips were icy cold. Why me? He asked. Why not go directly to the press? Because, she explained, stepping closer so he could smell a faint trace of the jasmine perfume she used to wear. I wanted you to feel it first. When everything you thought was genuine is revealed to be a falsehood. I wanted you to know how it feels to look evil in the face and realize it's your last name. She kissed his cheek softly like a goodbye. In 48 hours, Will. After then, the story will end with or without you. She then walked away, disappearing into the crowd at the top of the stairs like smoke. Will stood there until the sky over Paris became ash-colored, the flash drive burning a hole in his pocket. He remembered his son Douglas, who was sleeping in Los Angeles and most likely dreaming about dinosaurs or superheroes. When he saw the headlines, he remembered his mother's face. He remembered Steffi's voice on the phone, thin and terrified. He imagined Luna waking up in a box, screaming into the darkness as dirt rained down on the lid. 48 hours. He stared out over the metropolis that had been his refuge, second opportunity, and beautiful deception. Then he purchased a ticket home. The plane took off about dusk. He accessed the drive on his laptop while crossing the Atlantic. The first file was a video. It was timestamped 2 years ago. A basement room with concrete walls. Luna was strapped to a gurney, eyes wide and horrified, pleading. Quinn Forrester's voice off camera is cool and cold. She knows too much. We cannot have another Sheila problem. Bill Spencer. The girl is a liability. Make it clean. A doctor in scrubs. Induced coma, staged accident, shallow grave with an air tube. She will be pronounced dead within 24 hours. We get her after the funeral. By the time she wakes up, the world will have changed. Luna's recorded scream pierced through the cabin noise like a sword. I will close the laptop. For the first time in years he cried. When the plane landed at LAX, the sun was rising over Los Angeles, turning the pollution pink and gold. He turned on his phone. A new message from the same mysterious number. Welcome home, Will. He gazed out the window at the metropolis that had raised him, destroyed him, and was about to burn. Then he typed one reply. Let us finish this. He pressed send, stepped off the plane, and walked directly into the fire. He was unable to move for quite some time. His thumb lingered over the screen, the letters scorching into him. It had been 6 years since he heard that name spoken aloud. Luna Ryder had vanished from his life 6 years ago, with no warning, no word, and no trace, according to every official record and desperate search he'd conducted. Still alive. Signed with her name. Will exhaled shakily and unevenly. It had to be a prank. Someone is messing around. Someone who knew the narrative, despite the fact that he hadn't told many people, and those who did wouldn't dare to alter it this way. He swallowed and read the message again, his mind alternating between incredulity, amazement, rage, and a pain he thought had gone away. His heart refused to settle. He typed back. Who is this? The response arrived very instantly. It's me. I can't explain it yet. I need your help. Please do not overlook this. Will stroked his palm down his face, a buzzing sound emerging in his ears. Memories pushed forward, her laugh reverberating in the ancient loft, the way she always peered over her shoulder as if shadows were growing teeth, the night she left his flat with nothing but a strange, strained smile. He had waited for a call that never arrived. He began pacing the kitchen, his socked feet silent against the tile. This has to be some sort of hoax. They were in abundance across the city. Grifters preyed on people's tragedies. But something about the words, the clipped rhythm of the phrases, reminded me of her. She used to text like this when she was terrified. He assumed he had forgotten that detail. Apparently not. Another message came in. Well, I am being monitored. Do not respond unless you can speak safely. If you need proof, ask me something only I would know. His breathing increased. Either this stranger was extremely thorough, or the improbable was true. He typed. What did you tell me the night before you left? There was a prolonged pause. 5 seconds. 10. 15. Then, you'll hate me someday, but I hope you never forget me. His stomach fell. She'd said that. Her voice was barely heard, shaking in such a way that he assumed she was ready to confess something dreadful. He had told her that she was being theatrical. He had chuckled and kissed her forehead. The next morning she was gone. The phone vibrated again. Well, I apologize. I wanted to stay gone. I wanted you to be protected. But I can't run anymore. They found me. I need you. He froze. They? A cold ran down his spine. He typed. Where are you? A location ping was received. A little industrial sector on the outskirts of the city. A collection of old warehouses that no one had touched in decades. Will slid into his coat without thinking. He paused just once, his palm lingering over his keys. Every sane instinct told him to call the cops. But he knew what they were going to say. He'd been through it before. After she vanished, they told him she was simply another adult who left voluntarily. No crime, no pursuit. Case closed. If this was Luna, and she actually needed assistance, he wasn't wasting time with bureaucracy. He drove quickly. The city flashed past in flashes of sodium lights, each block heavier than the last. At one red light, he pondered turning around, but then his phone chimed. Are you coming? He texted back with one hand. Yes. Do not move. When he arrived at the place, he turned off the headlights and came to a stop. The warehouse was huge, windowless, and partially engulfed by plants. A single light flickered above the rusting loading bay door. The wind caused the metal to creak, like an ancient hinge screaming for mercy. Will parked and stepped out, cold air hitting his cheeks. The area was deserted. No automobiles, no stray footfall, and no signs of life. He adjusted his coat and moved gently. His phone vibrated. Inside. The door is unlocked. Hurry. He attempted to keep his breathing normal as he approached the door. It was not locked. It wasn't even completely closed. He pushed it open and the hinges squealed horribly. The interior was dark, with the exception of a small light 20 yards ahead. It flickered with the unsteady rhythm of a dying bulb. Will slipped inside and closed the door behind him. Luna, he whispered. The hush grew. He proceeded gingerly, looking over his shoulder every few paces. The warehouse smelled of dust, ancient machinery, and something metallic that he couldn't identify. He suddenly heard a little quiet, stifled sound. Someone breathing while in agony. He broke into a jog. He discovered her at the far end of the warehouse, hidden behind a tower of rusting crates. Luna Ryder sat on the ground, her back against a metal beam, her face partially buried in shadows. Her black hair was shorter than he remembered and poorly cut. Her clothing were dusty and ripped in spots. She looked like she hadn't slept for days. When she raised her head, he felt breath rush out of him. That was her. Luna is older, thinner, and tormented, but she remains unmistakably Luna. She muttered, Will, as if uttering his name hurt. He went on his knees next to her. Luna, what happened? Where have you been? I thought. She reached up, terrified, and touched his wrist. I understand. I apologize. I tried to stay dead. His heart pounded wildly. Why? Who has done this to you? She swallowed. It is a long story, and we don't have much time. He looked around the shadows. Is anyone following you? Yes, she replied. For 6 years. Will stiffened. Why? Her eyes glistened. Because I know something they can't say. He attempted to digest it. Which kind of something? She shook her head. Not here. Too dangerous. He examined her face, looking for any indication that this was a mistake or a delusion, but her expression was brutally apparent. Desperation. Fear. Shame. Could you stand? He asked. She nodded slightly as her body trembled. He helped her up, putting his arm around her waist. She leaned heavily toward him. How did you find me? He asked quietly. I didn't, she whispered. They led me here. Someone within their group wants to assist me, but they told I needed to bring someone I trusted. Why? Her voice crackled. Because if I disappear again, they'll need witnesses. They claimed you were coming. That you were the only one who would. Will's chest tightened uncomfortably. Luna, what did you become interested in? She closed her eyes for a brief period, as if bracing herself against a memory. Something I attempted to disclose. Something I never should have seen. Lights flashed across the ceiling. A loud mechanical clang resonated from somewhere further inside the building. Luna stiffened. They're here. Who? Not the ones who are assisting me, she answered, her voice heavy with terror. The others. Will surveyed the gloom, his pulse racing. He dragged Luna behind a stack of crates. "Tell me what to do," he muttered. She grasped his hand. "There is a door at the back. This leads to an old storm tunnel. We can escape if we move before they spread out."